Speak to Einar Tangen, who's a China political analyst. He's joining us via Skype from Beijing. Thanks for talking to us. The world is waiting, the world is watching, waiting really for Beijing to snap. How provocative is this an action as far as Beijing is concerned?
Well, it's very provocative. I mean, this is more than just civil disobedience. They're really impacting the economy of Hong Kong. Remember, Hong Kong is one of the biggest destinations in the world. It hosts just a huge number of persons. If you think 7 million people who are residents there, and you have over 30 million people who are visiting on a yearly basis, this could have a very big impact on the Hong Kong economy. Now, remember, Hong Kong does not pay taxes to the mainland. They only, all tax money stay within Hong Kong. And it's a situation where it seems to be fast deteriorating. This is not the situation yesterday when they were just standing by.
Right. Now, the language coming from Beijing is also ratcheting up, isn't it? They've talked about this being a form of terrorism, and they've called this a colour revolution. What are the options before Beijing in terms of their response to what is going on in Hong Kong?
Well, there's Article 18 under the Basic Laws, which allows the Hong Kong government, if they feel that they need help in restoring civil society, they can ask for the PLA to come in. But there's another option as well. If China, the mainland, sees this as a foreign interference, then they would be allowed to come in because it would be defense of the nation. And if there is any evidence that there are outside forces, there's strong suspicions given the meetings by pro-democracy independents who are seeking regime change with United States officials, also with officials from the embassy in Hong Kong. This is fueling this feeling that this is part of the all-pressure tactics that Donald Trump likes to use when he's negotiating, just like with Taiwan and the battleships going through there in the trade war.
Right. But the authorities in Beijing will be well aware that perhaps it would be the worst possible situation, just in terms of the optics of it, if there were to be Chinese military presence on the streets of Hong Kong, contravening what is supposed to be this one country, two systems arrangement, which is still in place, supposed to still be in place until 2049. It would really backfire for China.
Well, optics, yes. And this is unfortunately what has happened. This has turned into a PR war. Obviously, there are people or entities who are intent on provoking Beijing into reacting this way. Beijing has shown a lot of restraint, but there comes a point, if, at some point people start dying on either side, police or on the protest side, and order cannot be restored and the city cannot function, then you have a breakdown in civil society. Now, that would not be in contravention of the basic laws if the Hong Kong government requests it, or if it gets to a point where it's obvious that things cannot be restored by the local authorities.
Right, and there's another option as well, isn't there? I'm wondering how sort of viable it is, and that is for the Carrie Lam administration to actually sit down and talk to the protesters and try to get a handle on what their grievances are. I mean, what about that as an option?
Sounds wonderful. Who would you talk to? There are no, quote, leaders out there. There are people who sit on the periphery and say they're not leaders. They're founders of democratic parties. They're students and things like that. But this movement is a mob. It doesn't have any leaders. So who do you sit down with? And remember that this has been an escalating situation. At first, it was all about the extradition treaty, which was overblown. It was political theater. Now it has changed to regime change. There are people insisting on universal suffrage and that the basic laws be changed in order to make Hong Kong, in essence, an independent, democratic, separate country.
Einar Tangen, good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.